Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell. With me, as always, the professional film critic, Sean Patrick, and Jeff Lasseter. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, Everyone's a Critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle's CriticsPod. Listen to the show at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. If you go to Apple Podcasts, though, and subscribe to the show and give us a 5-star review, we'll read your review on the air. And let us know you did that, too, because sometimes we miss that. Also, patreon.com/criticspod is the best way to support the podcast. We have several bonus episodes up over at Patreon, including Friday the 13th commentary track. I believe part 2 is coming soon, plus several music reviews that Sean and I did, among other things. And then TeePublic, if you search, or you go to ihatecritics.net, click on the TeePublic link up on the right-hand corner. That's not the best way to help support the podcast, but it's a way to help support the podcast and get some of our merch. Sean, where can people read your reviews?
You can find the archive blog, so you can see the places where I contradict myself at seanatthemovies.blogspot.com. In your honor, Bob, I posted my positive review of Crash, written in 2005, so people can make fun of me now for knowing how much I hate that movie now.
You're welcome. And Jeff, where can people get your art?
JeffLassiter.com has my links. I've just recently took my first batch of stickers to Ray Gun in Davenport, Iowa. So if you're around there, you can go down there and look at them and then buy them from me so I get all the money.
Awesome. And
also,
go ahead,
I should mention also, I've started a new book project that people can support by going to horror.media and reading my stuff there. It's a book that I've started all about horror movies in the 90s. I've got several pieces up that are going to be backed up by a lot of other background information in the actual book, and of course filled with reviews of about 200 horror films that came out during the 1990s, between January of 1990 and December 1999. And the most recent one that is up right now is Tales from the Dark Side, which is now one of my favorite horror movies ever.
Nice. I really do love that movie.
Awesome. And most of those links are in our show notes. I'll try to get them all updated for anything we've added to it. Let's jump right into the podcast and start with What's Love Got to Do with It?
What's Love Got to Do with It? Is directed by Shakar Kapoor and stars Lily Collins as a woman who's a documentarian. She finds out that one of her closest friends, a Pakistani man, is getting married, and it's an arranged marriage. And she thinks, well, they've rejected my most recent documentaries, but they might be interested in a documentary about my friend getting into this arranged marriage. And so she kind of inflicts herself upon her friend to get him to accept her, documenting his entire arranged marriage. But of course, everybody knows where this is headed, that these are two attractive people who have known each other for years. So of course, they're kind of meant to be together. And the movie's just going to build towards that. So, of course, we've been through this before. The best thing you're going to do in this situation is not necessarily try to buck convention. What you're going to do is try and color in the margins and make sure that everything you've got going towards this very predictable ending is very, very good. And the thing is that this is very, very good when they're kind of working in the margins and layering in these characters. And Lily Collins is just an actress who's just really, really good at this type of role. She's so sweet and charming and just a natural romantic. And they've got this little clever dialogue bit that they do where she takes like classic fairy tales and turns them into like things where the woman rejects the prince and goes on with her life. She tells this wonderful little story about the princess and the frog, and how she, as her princess, refuses to kiss the frog because why wouldn't I want a talking frog? That's awesome. and she just delivers that so very, very well. This is weird. The directing is very, very good, and it's strange because this is the director here is the guy who his last time he directed, Shakar Kapoor, hasn't directed a film since Elizabeth the Golden Age. He directed Elizabeth and Elizabeth the Golden Age and hasn't worked as a director since. And this is such a small movie to come back for, considering the scope and scale of those two movies. But hasn't lost a step. I mean, he's still a strong visual filmmaker. He's got really great instincts behind the camera, and he's working with a terrific screenwriter in Jemima Khan, who's got a really good ear for clever dialogue. And of course, the secret weapon is Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson, whose job here is just to be drunk and dance at Pakistani weddings. That's her gig. And it's a lot of fun to watch. She's playing Lily Collins' mom, and yeah, she just kind of gets soused up and does some dancing and has a great time. And really, just the whole movie is just a really great time.
Awesome. I didn't know anything about this movie. Did you, Jeff?
No, I watched the Angela Bassett one. I'm just kidding. No, I heard about it, but I was working and had stuff going on and couldn't get to the only showings in our area.
I'm kind of baffled by the release strategy, because there was one showing in our area or two showings, and they're both at 1:10 in the afternoon on Friday and 1:10 in the afternoon on Saturday. Why? What is that about? Make it make sense, because there's just nothing about that makes any sense at all.
Well, it's a terrible name for a movie.
It's true. That is a bad title. That's actually what I put in my review titles. Is a terrible title for a really good movie.
Especially if it's not about Tina Turner.
Well, exactly. I mean,
that already exists, and it's also just the most generic romantic comedy title you could think of too.
Imagine trying to Google this movie for showtimes.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened exactly when I went to look for, when I was realizing just what a terrible title it was. Like, it's like the third or fourth thing down when you Google it.
Anything else on What's Love Got to Do with It before we move on?
I didn't get a chance to see the Priyanka Chopra movie, which also came out this weekend, but it's, again, just shining another light on why this was such a weird release for this movie, is the fact that they had a movie basically just like it coming out the same weekend on more screens. What was anyone behind this movie thinking? You've got a pretty good movie here, and you've basically buried it in the weirdest release strategy ever.
Especially with nothing coming out really next week.
Yeah.
Or to be programming to Guardians 3. He could have done more with screen times. Anyway, Guardians 3 is our next movie.
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, directed by James Gunn, and of course bringing back the cast from the previous two Guardians movies, and of course the Guardians are back and doing what they do. We're jumping right back into the story. They're getting attacked by Warlock, whatever his deal is.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock. He comes barreling in and starts the movie with a big action scene, and then Rocket ends up getting injured to the point of near death, and they've got to figure out a way to rescue him, and it leads to telling his backstory, and we get a lot of Rocket's backstory via flashbacks, while the rest of the cast is pulling off essentially kind of a heist plot to try and find the thing that's going to save his life. Lots of really good stuff here, because this is a really likable franchise. This is a franchise that's built on likability, and James Gunn is a terrific director. He's got a lot of really smart ideas, and he loves this cast, and they love him, and they love working together, and you can sense that in all that they do. I think the only issue that I have with this movie is what other movies did to this movie. Specifically, watching this movie seemed to kind of confirm to me that they decided to kill Gamora, the original Gamora, without talking to James Gunn. I think they made that decision and kind of forced James Gunn into a position where, like, now I've got to write around that. And I don't think anybody's particularly happy about it. And I found Gamora, this new version of Gamora, and her dynamic with Star-Lord to be miserable. Not merely that they weren't on the same page, but it was outright miserable. Like, there was no fun to be had from them. And I understand, both of their perspectives. The characters, their emotions make sense, but at the same time, did it have to be miserable? Did you have to go with the fact that they're both miserable and she truly hates him? You couldn't come up with another way to make this kind of charming? Because I think that's kind of the really one lead balloon in this entire movie is kind of holding me back from enjoying the rest of it. Because I did enjoy the rest of it. I found the rest of it very, very, very good. But on an emotional level, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 hits hard. You know, that ending, especially with Michael Rooker's death, hits hard. It's got big emotions. It's tear worthy. And I was hoping to find something similar to that here, but it felt like kind of a step back for me in terms of the emotionality from this. And I guess maybe it was always going to be. Maybe that was just such a high for me that maybe it couldn't match that. But certainly I think that making that particular one, and there was such a great growth, you know, for between those two characters, between Star-Lord and Gamora, and whether it ended up with them in a romance or not, it was beginning to define both of those characters in very interesting ways, and showing, you know, Peter Quill's maturity, and obviously losing her, this is a huge step back in terms of that character. And I think Chris Pratt just kind of feels unmoored, which is again part of the character. I agree. I admit that, but I found it to be like all that character growth feels lost now to me.
Jeff, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
I thought it was fine. I mean, I'm curious what it would have been like if he made it right away, like he was supposed to. I agree with you on the Gamora character. It almost felt like they didn't agree with where they had to go with it, but they did it anyway. And I don't know, it was hard to buy into, and I shouldn't say buy into because clearly she's a different person. But I don't know. It felt like they were forced into the scenario they were in, like you said, and it just didn't feel natural or fun, or I don't know. And it was kind of a step backwards. I don't know. Again, I don't want to keep falling back on the Beau is Afraid thing, but it was fine. I don't know. I'm kind of done with comic book movies. I've been saying that for a while, and this is. I did like this franchise. I don't dislike the movie, but I don't know. It's fine. Can someone explain the Kevin Bacon stuff? Should I know what that is?
You had to have seen the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Gotcha.
That's where they call out the fact that Peter Quill and Mantis are brother and sister, and that they kidnap Kevin Bacon, basically, to bring him to Star-Lord for Christmas because he's feeling so down about Gamora. You shouldn't have to watch that kind of stuff to get the jokes, and that's one of my biggest problems. Yeah, that's one of my biggest problems with the Marvel universe, and to an extent the Star Wars universe, is that, oh, well, if you just saw this or you just read that, why?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that should be explained in the first 5 minutes if, you know, you just recap it. Right. You know, ever since we kidnapped Kevin Bacon and you told Star-Lord that you guys are brother and sister, you know, that's literally a dropped line. It's all you need to set up that joke. But
yeah, I was definitely kind of trying it in my mind to remember. Was that in 2? I don't remember that being in 2.
No, it was not.
Am I forgetting the post-credit scene? Did I walk out? I don't remember.
Well, we were watching the post-credits and Kevin Bacon pops up in a picture in the credits. My wife's like, "What's he have to do with this?" Like, I have no idea. And then I'm not even paying attention, and she's like, she catches it on the newspaper where they talk about, where they make the joke, and I was just like, I'd missed it, and obviously she's not good at explaining that stuff. So, plus we've never seen the holiday special. I didn't even know there was one. What is? Yeah. Where do you get that at?
It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, that explains it.
Having seen both of them now, that could have been an opening stinger kind of scene for it. Honestly, they could have really edited it down, and seems like that it might have been that way, that they wanted to, that was a scene from it because James Gunn did it. It kind of just seemed like that was like an extended sequence that they fleshed out to be a holiday special. Because that's where, Cosmo the talking dog is speaking, and a lot of that stuff kind of is explained, fleshed out.
A lot of that weird stuff, yeah. It did feel out of nowhere to have a Russian talking dog. I just tried to accept it because
I mean, yeah,
franchise so much.
That's how I feel about all the Marvel space movies. Is okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. It's fucking wild and weird and wacky, and I'm just gonna go with it, because if you don't go with it, then you're gonna hate the movie. So
I'm starting now to dread the idea, because I was looking forward to the Marvels, and now I'm like, do I have to go watch something on Disney Plus to actually enjoy that movie?
I liked the Ms. Marvel show quite a bit. I think Kamala Khan is a very likable character, and you shouldn't have to watch it, but you have to watch it.
Sorry, Bob, we've got homework.
I mean, I seeing the trailer for that, I was like, I thought that looked pretty dumb, personally. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I can spoil it for you a little bit, because you're probably not going to watch it, Bob.
100% right.
I know you well enough to know that you're not going to watch it.
I'm not even sure if I have Disney Plus.
Yeah, I have somebody else's. So the end credit scene for that, Kamala gets the bangle that has, gives her powers from her grandmother or her great aunt or something, and so she's got her powers and whatever. And at the end, the after credit scene is her using it, and then all of a sudden, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel shows up, and like, what the hell? The scene from the trailer where she's looking around and she sees all the stuff, and what the hell? And now, based on the trailer, they've switched spots. So,
gotcha.
So, Jeff, tell us? You said you really liked this movie, though, right?
I did, actually. I think one of the reasons I liked it so much is James Gunn took a group of characters that nobody really cared about, as far, other than people who were super fans of this particular comic, and made them some of the best, richest characters in the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us like Ronin and all of these different characters you're never really going to get unless you do kind of like hit it out of the park the first time. So my favorite Marvel comic was the Infinity Gauntlet saga, the first saga, and in that book, the one who kind of saves the day is Adam Warlock. He saves everything saves everyone from Thanos. Well, obviously, he wasn't around for the Infinity Saga, so I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to do with him. I like that they played him. They dropped the line that, you took him out of his cryo tube too quickly, and he hasn't finished growing, and so he acts like a kid the whole time, and he's smashing everybody just to get what he wants, and doesn't quite get social cues and things like that. As far as Peter and Gamora go, I've seen all the other movies enough to kind of realize that Gamora is looking for a family, but she's also not just going to fall in line with the first guy who says, we used to love each other, but you didn't, but you died. And she needs a family more than a love interest. And seeing her at the end find that family with the Marauders, or is that the Marauder? I'm so confused.
Ravagers.
Ravagers, thank you. Seeing her in that last scene, I was like, I don't care if they get back together. I mean, I know they're not.
I don't either. I don't care if they get back together. I don't care. I didn't want this Gamora with Peter. That's not the point. Is the point? Is what I'm missing is that I don't think James Gunn wanted that version of Gamora to be killed. I don't think he knew that was going to happen. I think he found out about that and had to write around it. And what he came up with to write around it just doesn't work for me.
No. Fair enough. Worked for me.
Yeah,
It was fine.
I think the character. I think Gamora's the character that they now have. I think she was acting as a normal person would, and I think she had proper motivation, and it made sense. I just didn't enjoy. I thought it was to me it felt miserable the way that she and Peter treated each other. Like she doesn't have to be romantic with him, but did it have to be? She hates this guy, and they make each other miserable. Did it have to be that?
Well, and I had a problem with the way Peter was more than her. It was,
it made sense, yeah.
Because he was, quickly it turned into, oh, you're gonna like me, I'll turn you, and it was just almost, it was too important of a storyline, but also like an afterthought at the same time. That it didn't get the time it needed to be as big of a deal as it should have been, and I don't know, nobody seemed invested other than maybe Zoe Saldana, because she really was acting the hell out of some of those scenes. But I don't know. More than anything, I don't know that it was bad. I just didn't care. And I think I should care more about that part. And even the part where Jeff said where she finds her family, he's right. That's the way it should have gone, and it did. But there was an element of me not caring.
Yeah, I didn't really know any of those Ravagers, nor did I really know what her relationship to them was. Was that in the Christmas special as well, where she became family with the Ravagers? Because I didn't see that in this movie. She barely even cared that one guy and his dog died. She didn't even know who the dog guy was. The one who gets blown up, giving up her location. Like, she didn't even give a fuck that guy died, and he was apparently a Ravager. But then she goes back to them, and now they're her family that she's always loved. And it's like, what? When did that happen? I get that that's her journey. That's where she wanted to go, is having that group of her own. But I don't think they established her and the Ravagers together that well.
Well, I think personally, I would have liked to have seen the whole, Star-Lord Gamora thing wrapped up earlier in the movie, where she just said, you know what, Peter, let's be friends. Let's work together when we have to, but we're never going to be what we were or what you remember us as. So let's work together, and have him make that choice. Apparently he's coming back if you read the end of it, but this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie with this team. And to have them, they all kind of eventually had a happy ending, even though they made it look like everybody was going to fucking die in the trailer. To give them all their happy ending, I think in a 2.5 hour movie seemed a little rushed. Had they had that scene towards the beginning where, she's like, look, why don't you just get with my sister, because you guys seem to, that scene where they're in the elevator or whatever. If they'd had that like right at the beginning or closer to the beginning, he could have just had the epiphany. Oh yeah, I'm happier when I'm without you, without this version of Gamora.
Take the emotional growth that he's shown in the previous two movies and actually put that to use, instead of resetting the character back to being that guy who's just pining for this girl and he has to have her, and that's the only thing he wants in the world. Take the growth that he actually showed in Guardians 2 and use that. And I don't think they did. They reset the character to who he was. And that's a real shame to me. Because I thought by the end of Guardians 2, as much as he was moving toward a romance with Gamora, he had also grown as a person. Like the whole situation he had with both of his fathers, like that showed a great deal of emotional growth, and him learning to accept and be okay with, Gamora having different feelings than him and not understanding the same things the way he does, and him growing towards understanding and accepting that she doesn't get everything about him and that maybe there won't be a romance there. It seemed to me that the character reached a point where he could accept not being romantic with her. Like, that's what he wanted, but that he could accept it. And then with her dying, I understand that's going to set him back and make him a bit of a different person. But then having her there is also going to be a new kind of re-traumatization. But like, for him to have no growth from then to them to take him back to factory settings, Peter Quill almost was like, I found that to be an odd choice.
Yeah, they didn't even commit to it. Like, he starts damaged, but he doesn't stay damaged for very long, you know. And I don't know. I really think Star-Lord might have been the worst character in this movie. The more I think about it, now that we're talking about it out loud.
Speaking of best characters, like, I thought for sure for me, Karen Gillan was the best. She has grown into that character more than anybody, and that seems to be the most organic growth of any character in any of these movies. With Mantis, I would say a close second. Her coming into her own and growing into this character. They had the most fun dynamic. They had the best character growth and arcs for me, and I really enjoyed both of those performances a lot.
Well, but Star-Lord's the Iron Man or the Captain America of this group, you know, and he's supposed to be the best. And I don't know. And even if you look at Thor, and I didn't watch the Christmas special, but he's a drunk, but he's a drunk for like 5 minutes and they move on. And, you know, he's heartbroken, but now he's making jokes. I mean, like you said, a factory reset, but it was like, you know, a quarter of the way through the movie or a third of the way through the movie, they did the factory reset. I don't know. There just was no commitment to his struggle. And I don't know. I'm looking for way too much out of a Marvel space movie, and that's the problem.
I think what we're looking at here a lot, and maybe it's the reason why James Gunn is at DC now, is that I think Disney really got involved in this. Like you said, like what you were talking about with the Christmas special and how that could have been wrapped up early on in this movie. Like, perhaps that was Disney going, hey, we want a Christmas special. Why don't we take that piece and turn it into this? Then, of course, you've got them making the decision, somebody making the decision at some point to kill Gamora, whether it was in on it or not. You can sense from the storytelling that that's not where he was intending to take this. He was intending to explore either a romance or a really close friendship between those two. That's where he was taking those two characters. And he had that sort of taken from him. And I think there's some studio interference on this one that again, to James Gunn's credit, he still made a pretty good movie with that, with the challenges in front of him. He still made a pretty good movie.
I'll stop being Debbie Downer. Go ahead, the rest of you guys.
Oh no, I'm not. Now I hate the movie, and I never want to talk about it again.
I don't think I don't hate the movie. I don't. I've given it a positive review. There's aspects of it I don't like.
Yeah. Well, that's literally every movie. Even the movies I love dearly, there are aspects of them that I'm kind of like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I still recommend this movie. I think it's good. The more interesting things to talk about are the things that are probably wrong with it. But there are plenty of good things about it. Like I liked the heist bit. I enjoyed that. I thought the villain was pretty good, considering that I think he's in the shadow of Ego, which I think is a really. I mean, coming in after Kurt Russell is not going to be easy for anybody. This guy did the best job you could possibly do, because Kurt Russell was amazing as Ego. You know, you're always going to be kind of competing against that and coming up a little bit short. But this guy was scary. He was energetic. He was exciting. It's a really terrific performance. And there's a lot of emotion in Rocket's backstory that they mined really, really well.
What do you guys think of the internet rumors that are going around that they may try to replace Kang with him and just say that he's another variant of Kang after Jonathan Majors kind of got taken down by allegedly abusing somebody and many women?
I don't know. I'm kind of going in the direction of not caring what Marvel does at this point. You know, the further I get away from Quantumania, the less I enjoy Quantumania. I'll still enjoy this movie, but it's always going to be like I'm going to have my nostalgia be for Guardians 2. Yeah, I'm kind of not caring what Marvel does at this point.
Who is Kang? I'm not being an asshole. I really don't know.
Who's the villain of Quantumania?
What's Quantum?
Yeah, and they've set him up to be the
Man
next
in the
Thanos.
Quantumania.
Oh, the next Thanos.
Yeah, the big bad of the current.
The next world.
Did you skip Ant-Man? I don't remember.
I never saw it. No. Oh, that was an Ant-Man movie. Okay.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I love Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
We literally weren't even going to go see Guardians. It was just like we had to kill time, and I was like, "You guys want to go see Guardians right now? We're in the Quad Cities." And there happened to be a showtime that worked out. There was 3 seats next to each other, and we went. In hindsight, I wish I'd have gone on Sunday instead of Saturday. But again, I'm not the regular audience for it. Even the other Guardians movies, while I liked them, I guess I liked them. They're fun, but that's kind of where it begins and ends with me, is fun. And I'm in that headspace where I'm wanting something more, and that's not fair. So I need to stop doing that. Plus,
Not every movie can have a giant penis in it.
I know, but that's what's important to me.
Wow, you learned so much about your co-hosts. I thought I was the only one who that was important to.
I just never know what the day is going to bring. Anything else on Guardians? I feel like we haven't really let Jeff talk a whole lot because we kept interrupting him with our negativity. I feel bad.
Yeah, fuck you guys. I quit.
Show over.
We're actually just leaving you space, Jeff, if you wanted to expand on any more positive thoughts.
Well, it was certainly better than watching the coronation all week. How's that?
I was making fun of the coronation on the radio today. I was talking about how I think a dog in if you put a cape and a crown on a dog, you do just about as much as a king. It was just about tourism. I mean, I think a dog actually with a crown and a cape would actually do far more business,
especially in Florida.
My favorite thing about the coronation was all the comparisons to Snoke from the Star Wars sequel trilogy when he put on that gold robe and he was sitting there and they're like, "I made Snoke."
Oh, that's good. That's good. I hadn't seen that. It's no King Ralph coronation, I tell you that much. It's still the greatest coronation in movie history.
All right, are we ready to move on, or do you want to keep talking Guardians or coronation?
Oh, are we still talking about Guardians?
I'm just trying to prolong the show. All right, our Undisputed Classic, more or less, was Scotland PA.
Yeah, why don't you take us through this one, Bob?
Well, in 2001, when it came out, I saw it in a video store, and I was like, this looks weird, and I watched it, and I'm like, this is pretty good. Told another friend about it. He thought it was awesome. Never watched it again. Didn't even really know it was about McBeth, even though I don't know how you could not know that, having rewatched it. I just had never read McBeth. And it's basically McBeth in a fast food restaurant. And they kind of add the creation of McDonald's and combine it with the story of McBeth. Christopher Walken's in it. And I thought Mara Tierney was really awesome in it. And that's about it.
Yeah, I found this movie to be insufferable. I got about 15 minutes in and I went to do something else. I did finish it. I went back to it because it's, I respect this podcast. Uh, yeah, no, I didn't. I just, something about James LaGrosse. He is the least interesting actor in the world to me. I find him just to be like,
Right?
he is the oatmeal of actors. He's just, if you don't add anything to him, he's just bland. just, he is just wet oats to me. And that stupid wig he's wearing just really makes him look silly. Um, the wig work here is also notably terrible throughout. But that's beside the point. I don't enjoy the '70s aesthetic very much. Every time I see the '70s in a movie, it just feels like a cartoon. Like I don't. I've never watched one of these movies aside from maybe Boogie Nights and seen the 1970s in a way that looked authentic. This just feels like everybody's wearing costumes and bad wigs. I get the whole McBeth thing, and that's
Hard
cute.
not to.
It's cute, but it didn't really land with me. Aside from Christopher Walken, who's just Christopher Walken can do anything, and when he's delighting over cooking food and like the idea of cooking food and talking about wanting to run the restaurant, he's so adorable that I could enjoy aspects of that and aspects of what he was doing, but anytime Christopher Walken wasn't on screen doing something cute, I was like, I'm bored. I just don't want to do this anymore. I didn't enjoy. More Tyranny's not bad. I just didn't. The rest of the movie is sort of dragging everything down with it, especially James LaGrosse. And of course, I just get annoyed anytime I see Andy Dick. Just, on a general rule, if Andy Dick is somewhere around, I'm just irritated.
That did play a role into my. I enjoyed it a little bit, but at the same time, it was kind of in the way of this is making them miserable in a funny way. Because they're not even trying to be cute with the McBeth stuff. It's like literally the same names. They don't even change the names of the characters. Mm-hmm. And so there's no like you're trying to figure it out. It's like if you know the story of McBeth, you know what's going to happen and who does what, when, and how. So I got a little bit of fun with the kind of the troll aspect of it, but it definitely wasn't. It reminded me of like he wanted to be Richard Linklater or like Kevin Smith, too much, and it just didn't. I don't know. It was fine. He didn't make another movie ever again. This Billy Morissette guy.
Really?
I didn't see it on IMDb. It looked like it was the only one he directed. It did get pretty good reviews. And I did like Mara Tierney in it. And I kind of like the idea of the main actor being such oatmeal and playing McBeth. I thought it worked. But again, I'll never have to watch it again. And also the Bad Company stuff was so often so early. And my memory of it was throughout the whole movie a little more than it was. But I don't know.
What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, I hated it. I mean, hated it. Maura Tierney, I will watch her do anything. But everybody else in the movie, I was just like, oh my God. I started watching it last night. Then I got about 45 minutes in, I started reading a book. And then I finished it today, but I kind of just half paid attention to it. It was just so bad. And I'm not a big McBeth fan, first of all. I got some of the references in it, but I was just like, it was such a slog. I was just like, come on, something happened, and then something happened, but it was like, how did I explain this to myself earlier? I said, this is like if it's like a student film by the Coen brothers. It's like something they made in junior high. If they'd been severely mentally disabled too, that would have, but it just was like he was trying to be the Coen brothers, You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, this is like Blood Simple or something, and or Fargo, and it really wasn't. It was more like Fartgo. I nobody was fun in it except for Maura Tierney, and that was still towards the end when she's like looking around and she's trying not to look at the camera, and at one point she like looks off into the distance, but she kind of almost darts her eyes towards the camera, and they didn't cut that out. I was like, dude, this guy should never make another film. Luckily, he didn't.
Was her husband?
Yeah, ex-husband. Yeah, I can see why. But just seeing the fact that he never made another one, I was I kind of looked at some of the IMDb trivia as I was starting the movie, and I was like, oh, that doesn't bode well, because even horrible directors like Uwe Boll make several movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Don't watch it. It's free on Prime, but I mean, unless you're looking for, if your melatonin's not kicking in, give it a try.
What I was hoping for and was kind of wanted to see was something that would be, I guess when they started off on that thing about putting James Remhort in the fryer, I thought, okay, we're going to get really wild here. And I thought maybe they'll take it like a direction. What am I trying to think? I'm sorry. I've lost my thought here. John Waters, Waters, or maybe like a trauma film. Like take McBeth, but go in that absolutely insane direction where you're just dialing it up. Like, I wanted to see them pull James Remhort out of the fryer and like his corpse was like a French fry, like looking thing. Like, I wanted to see something like that and just keep getting crazier and crazier and crazier.
You know what I kept thinking too is I don't know if either of you saw Psycho 3, directed by Anthony Perkins. There's a scene where he has killed somebody as Norman Bates, and he has shoved her in an ice chest, like at the hotel or the motel. And while he's trying to, he's going to go hide the body in the swamp, but the cop comes and he's looking for this girl who's missing. And he goes and he's talking to Norman Bates, and he flips up the thing of the top of the ice chest, and he's starting to chew on ice, and he pulls the ice out, and he's eating a piece, and then you see her finger sticking up. It would have been funny if somebody had been like in the walk-in freezer or something getting French fries, and they actually like broke off one of his fingers or something like that. Oh, are they going to find out? Or are they not going to find out? Are they going to find out? No, instead we got what we got.
I think you could still do the whole MacBeth, Shakespeare stuff, but do it like with this just wild attitude of like, we're going to take the violence of that and go in wild, directions with it. I think like a John Waters style would have been very, very appealing in this, because it would have taken the craziness that's already going on. I think what the mistake he makes is trying to be like the Coen brothers. They're trying to keep this in a grounded level. Don't be grounded with this. Take it in a fucking weird direction, man. And really make it memorable.
Well, thank you guys. Sorry for. I just needed to know if it was as good as I remembered it 20 years ago.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm not. It was actually kind of fun for me how I definitely knew you guys weren't going to like it as I'm watching it, which kind of made it a little bit fun, but for the wrong reasons.
I'm just glad that you guys didn't like it either. That's all. Because I kept watching it going, God, if Sean or Bob likes this, how am I going to have to quit the show in the middle of it? Oh, I already did that. I already did that once today.
All right.
It's bad. It's a bad movie.
1993, we had Dave, American Heart, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, Much Ado About Nothing, and My Neighbor Totoro. What are you doing on the podcast, the bonus episode, or Sean?
We're going to be delayed because of some family issues, but we are doing Dave. We watched it this weekend, and you know what? That movie is timeless. It is. It's timeless. It's one of the few movies from 30 years ago that you could look at and go, that movie could come out anytime and be that good. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that, having that full conversation.
Awesome.
I do want to touch on My Neighbor Totoro, which is one of the greatest animes ever made. If you've never seen My Neighbor Totoro, it's so moving and beautiful and emotional. The animation is spectacular. It is as well timeless, but in that way, the animation can be as opposed to other types of mediums. But of course, in Miyazaki, he's Miyazaki. Of course, he's brilliant. And My Neighbor Totoro it's very emotional, but it's also very funny and very, very odd. And it has those wonderful beats. I adore that film. And Much Ado About Nothing is, if you want to watch an actual Shakespeare adaptation, that one's probably the way to go. I mean, you've got Kenneth Branagh, you've got Denzel Washington, Emma Thompson, this amazing cast doing a straight take on it. Michael Keaton's in it. Keanu Reeves is good in it as well. Early Keanu Reeves, one of the rare good early performances by him. He's probably the weakest aspect of it, but still, he's being well directed in it. It's really a lot of fun, and it's one of the lighthearted Shakespeare's. So I think it's the most accessible of a Shakespeare play to do. And they really captured it very well. It's really a lot of fun.
Is the Bruce Lee movie any good? I've never seen it.
It's been years since I've seen it. I don't remember it being very good. Yeah.
All right. Next week we got it looks like Hypnotic is coming to the theaters with Ben Affleck. Sean had the idea of all of us watching a streaming movie, and he picked The Intensity of Joseph Chambers. Is that, or The Integrity? I wrote that really sloppy.
The Integrity of Joseph Chambers. It's actually the follow-up to The Killing of Two Lovers, from that director and the star of that film. And that was my favorite film of 2021. So I can't wait to see this one. I'm shocked I haven't seen it yet. I just didn't even know it came out, honestly.
Have you picked yours yet, Jeff? Because I haven't really picked one.
No, I'm going to pick a horror movie, though. I might pick The Burning if it's available. That came out today in 1980. 1981 came out today. Thinking about that one because I just was reminded of it, but I don't know. I'll let you guys know. It'll be a big surprise for everybody.
All right, and I get to disappoint everybody next week too with the classic, The Holy Mountain. Based on some weird YouTube videos I saw, I just thought, "Hey, can we watch this?" And Sean said, "Sure." And Jeff's like, "Do I have to pay for it?" That's not entirely true, but
it's a Jodorowsky film, and I'm a big fan of what I've seen of Jodorowsky's stuff. He's very experimental, and it can be foreboding. It can be very intimidating to watch a Jodorowsky film because he is so weird. So I'm intrigued at the very least.
For the record, listeners, I don't mind renting a movie. Yeah. I do mind when I go to rent a movie that I've wanted to see for a while, and you can only buy it, and it's minimum $10. Because what if I hate it?
Right.
Meanwhile, I accepted your offer, Bob.
Yes, we can still do that. It's fine. The inspiration for that was there's this band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and they have a record called Nonagon Infinity that's apparently based on this movie. They have a bunch of music videos that are inspired by the movie but look like Mighty Morphin Power Ranger budgets. So I don't know. It just looks weird, so I'm curious. And then in 1993, Carnosaur, Excessive Force, Lost in Yonkers, and Posse come out. What are you watching?
We'll be watching Carnosaur.
Of course you are.
Of course.
I've never seen Carnosaur, so I'm excited. I don't even know what it is. I just love the title.
I don't remember it, but I remember it coming out, and I watched it because it was like Roger Corman's answer to Jurassic Park. So
that sounds amazing.
It was one of those, I mean, Roger Corman is one of the best filmmakers alive just because he does shit like that, where he's like, oh shit, there's a movie about dinosaurs coming out. Okay, we've got 2 weeks to make up a dinosaur movie.
I'm going to try to watch that.
Yeah, I will try to watch that too, if it's available.
Sounds like it's going to be a weird week of movies.
You know what? Why couldn't we have had some of the fucking movies that came out in April come out this month? So I wasn't like spending my entire weekend at the movie theater every weekend in April. Sorry.
Yeah, probably would have been a good idea to release What Love Got to Do with It next week, or Polite Society might not have tanked so terribly if they'd released it next week.
Evil Dead Rises did not have to come out the same weekend as Beau is Afraid. That's all I'm saying. And that was the same weekend I was going to Chicago. So
yeah, Beau is Afraid can come out next week, so I have something to look forward to.
I just like after my birthday a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, I really don't have anything to look forward to for the foreseeable future.
When's Ari Aster's next movie?
Right.
All right, let's play Flick Chart. What are we at? Well, we're about an hour, so we're not horrible. 127 hours at RoboCop 2.
127 hours.
Yep.
Agreed.
We've made up time from you guys shitting all over Guardians of the Galaxy.
Very nice.
That is true. The Wolf of Wall Street, No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
By a lot. 28 Days Later, Role Models.
Oh.
Role Models.
That's really tough. I love Role Models. That's like, I'm not a big comedy person, but if they made a Role Models 2, I would definitely go see it. But I'm going to say 28 Days Later just because it gave us fast zombies.
I like 28 Days Later, and but if I'm going to watch one, I'm going to watch Role Models because it's one of the most watchable comedies.
Yeah, Role Models is, I love them both, but I love Role Models more than I should. It sounds like all of us do a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll take that as well. The Rocketeer, Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest.
Vantage Point, Marie Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette.
I've never seen Vantage Point, so.
Neither have I. Drumline, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter. Although everybody's daddy looked cute in that. I mean, Nick Cannon.
The Lady Killers, The Day After Tomorrow.
Lady Killers. Even a bad movie with Tom Hanks is better than fucking Day After Tomorrow.
Unpopular opinion, Day After Tomorrow, because I love disaster flicks and effects.
Unpopular opinion, I didn't hate The Lady Killers.
I knew I was safe picking The Day After Tomorrow.
I've never seen Carnosaurus Rex. I'm sorry.
2 dinosaur movies.
Pearl Harbor, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, God. Jurassic World, I guess. I think it might be shorter.
Jurassic World, just for the effects and the dinosaurs. I don't like the newer ones.
So.
What'd you say?
Pearl Harbor's pure trash, so you can't go picking against it.
Beyond the Lights, Smoking the Bandit.
Beyond the Lights.
I've never seen Beyond the Lights, so.
I'll let you have it, Sean. I've never seen it either. Eastern Promises, Burn After Reading.
That's tough. Fuck. Which way do you go on that? Oh, man. Because Eastern Promises is incredible, but Burn After Reading is fucking hilarious. Oh, man. Eastern Promises. But that is tough.
Oh, Naked Viggo Mortensen or hilarious Brad Pitt. Burn After Reading.
It's Eastern Promises for me. And it's not just because of Naked Viggo Mortensen.
Sure, Bob. You just came out on the show earlier.
I love that part
Talking about
too.
your love of giant penises.
Sexuality is a spectrum.
Yes. The Nice Guys, Bachelor Party.
Nice Guys.
I don't think I ever saw The Nice Guys. Is that Will Ferrell and...
No, this is Russell Crowe
and Ryan Gosling.
Shane Black.
Oh, no, I did not see that one.
That's awesome.
Have you seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Did you like it?
I liked it.
If you like that, you'll like Nice Guys.
Oh, okay.
That said, with Bachelor Party, just to throw in a plug for the 93 podcast, when we, on the next episode for Three of Hearts, we spend a lot of time talking about Tawny Katane because for some reason she appears in Three of Hearts and is just blink and you'll miss it and she's gone. And we're like, what the hell was she doing here? And we spend a good while just talking about Tawny Katane. Just for fun.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Friends with Benefits, No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
Agreed. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, The Tree of Life.
Tree of Life.
Yeah, The Tree of Life.
I don't have an opinion. The Cell, a very merry
I will.
Mix-Up.
I will say I will never forget Sean making fun of me on this show for giving him Trick or Treat, and he gave me the Tree of Life for my birthday, and I gave him Trick or Treat for Christmas or something, and he made fun of me for it. I was just trying to share something I loved.
What's wrong with Trick or Treat?
That's why I have that movie.
Trick or Treat or Tree of Life?
Trick or Treat, just to piss Sean off.
I agree.
I've never seen a very merry mix-up. I don't know what that is.
Fine. We can get back to the show.
No, okay.
The Cell, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
The Cell.
Yeah, you guys go ahead and pick. I don't care.
That's
I don't
fine.
like that really.
The visuals in the Cell are what get it for me.
And Walk Hard is a disappointment. The Avengers, The Ice Storm.
The Avengers, because the Ice Storm, as great as it is, it's fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Great movie, but like, never make me watch that ever again.
Yeah.
Agreed. I don't know how to say that. Paris.
Paris Jatin.
Okay, or Halloween 2, 1981.
Halloween 2. Horror memory for me.
Paris Jatem. I think I have a review of it. I don't think I liked it very much, but I have a review of it on the blog. I'll have to look. Hang on, let me check the blog. I really
pick
don't
Halloween 2.
Okay, I haven't seen the other one, so and I don't hate Halloween 2. So, SWAT or Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Grizzly Man, Angels in the Outfield, 2000.
That's Angels in the Infield. It's a completely different movie.
Holy fuck! You're right. Angels in the Infield. It's got to be.
I've never
Grizzly
seen
Man,
Angels in the Infield, so
I've never seen either one of them because I couldn't bring myself to watch Grizzly Man.
Grizzly Man's hilarious. Grizzly Man or Paul?
Paul.
That's hard.
Hard.
I'm gonna go Paul. Yeah, because Grizzly Man is again, it's hard to watch. It doesn't have a rewatchable quality. It's just you're just kind of dunking on this idiot who went to live with Bear.
It's one of the great comedies of all time. Back to the Future.
Yeah, they should have called it "Fuck Around and Find Out." Grizzly Man 2, Fuck Around and Find Out.
Grizzly Man 1. Back to the Future Part 3, Cocoon.
Back to the Future 3.
Yeah, you want to hear something really fucking scary? I'm older than Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon. But I look prettier.
How is that fun? I mean, in fairness, he was 70 when he was 30, so.
Oh, he was 70 in The Thing in 1980.
3 Men and a Baby, Fargo.
Fargo.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, Glengarry Glen Ross.
Glenn.
Oh yeah, if you took Mickey Rooney out of Breakfast at Tiffany's, I would probably pick that.
Pitch Perfect, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows.
Sherlock Holmes.
Pitch Perfect.
I'll go Pitch Perfect.
I'm not a big fan of the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movies.
I don't mind him so much, but I can't stand that vomit scene in the first Pitch Perfect movie. Otherwise, I like the Pitch Perfect movies, but that vomit scene in the first one is fucking gross. Totally not necessary.
A Bronx Tale, 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Considering 9 to 5 is in my top probably 5 movies, definitely my top 5 comedies, we're going to always pick 9 to 5, which we should do as a classic when that next Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda movie comes out.
Works for me.
Didn't it already come out?
One of them.
No, there's another one.
No, I think
It's coming out
this
summer.
Drive, The Hangover.
Drive.
Yeah.
Yep. My Girl, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Close Encounters.
Close Encounters.
The Crow, How the West Was Won.
The Crow.
Yeah.
Limitless, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows.
Limitless.
You said Sherlock Holmes, Sean?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't really like Sherlock Holmes that much. Hoodlum, Existence.
Existence.
Yeah, Existence.
The Virgin Suicides, Kentucky Fried Movie.
The Virgin Suicides.
Yeah, The Virgin Suicides.
Two odd movies be up against each other. High Noon or Identity.
High Noon.
High Noon is a better movie. I did get tricked by Identity, though, the first time I saw it.
That's another one of those movies from the early 2000s that I loved at the time. I don't remember if it's any good or not.
Oh, it's probably not.
I'll have to check the blog. I don't remember.
Hannibal, Hard Candy.
Hard Candy.
Yeah, although I am one of the few people who loved Sounds of the Lambs and I liked Hannibal.
I like Hannibal. Take Shelter, The Passion of the Christ.
Take Shelter. That movie's fucking incredible.
I never saw Take Shelter, but I'm going to pick that over anything Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel ever touches. When are they going to make the sequel?
Aren't they making it now?
I've heard that, but I'm like, what? They're going to, he's going to come back? Like, Jesus died for your sins, and then he came back?
I think he's...
Now he's pissed.
No, I think they're trying to do a supernatural. He goes down to hell and confronts the devil and shit. It sounds horrible.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And he's played by Vin
literally
this time.
No, the devil will be like Kelsey Grammer.
Playing the
Another
same
anti-woke guy.
Plays the same character who plays in Money Plane, but he's the devil.
He'll be like an Obama-like character, not an actual devil. Assault on Precinct 13, The Recruit.
Assault on Precinct 13.
Yes, Assault on Precinct 13.
Okay. North by Northwest, Tracks.
I've not seen Tracks. I've heard amazing things about it, but I've not seen it.
No, I've never seen it either.
That's the movie I'm thinking of.
The Right Stuff, North by Northwest.
North by Northwest.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right Stuff is good. It's just very long and kind of dry.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yep. See, your computer's listening to you, Bob.
Every week. Madman 1981 or Jason X. I've never seen Madman.
I don't know Madman. I don't think
all you, Jeff.
Madman is really, it's kind of a cult classic, but Jason X came out 2 days before my birthday, and I saw Jason in space and I was like, what the fuck? But I didn't want to go see it. My friends just said, oh no, you're a Friday the 13th fan. We're going to take you for your birthday. I had so much fun at that movie. It's one of my top of the later Friday the 13th. So we're going to pick Jason X.
Ice Age 2, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Eternal Sunshine.
Ice Age 2. I'm just kidding. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But I'm really fucking sick of everybody telling me that is like one of the best movies that was ever made, because it's fine. It's better than Ice Age 2. We'll just say that.
It's very good, but I forget about it. When I watch it, I get a recency bias, and I like it a lot for like a week, and then it drops.
I can't get away from it because all the homos on Instagram that I follow are constantly posting about it, and all the emo homos, I should say.
Emo's the worst. Dunkirk, My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny.
By a lot. A Hard Day's Night, The Basketball Diaries.
A Hard Day's Night.
Yep.
Holes the Cooler.
The Cooler.
Yeah, the Cooler.
I agree.
Although I'm a fan of holes.
But
Just waiting for the silence to see how long we could
Let that sink in.
exit through the gift shop. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Exit through the gift.
Exit through the gift shop. Terrific movie.
Still never seen it. Scary Movie Disturbia.
Why does that say Scary Movie 89? What's a Scary Movie 1989?
Because there must have been one.
I've never heard of a scary movie from 1989. I've heard of the one from 1999 or 2000.
No, I know there's definitely one that was from the 80s, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Definitely.
All right, then The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 2009, Disturbia.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Is that the Numi Rapace one, or is that the?
I think that's the new Rapace one, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that then.
American Pie Surrogates.
American Pie.
American Pie.
I just saw, by the way, just out of a brief aside, I saw a list of somebody was talking about the best food scenes in movies, like the ones that make you want to eat. For some reason, they put American Pie as having the best food scene in history. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why would that make you want to eat something?
A couple of years ago.
Go ahead.
A couple of years ago, my sister and her family went on vacation, and they rented a house in Florida or somewhere, and they were, like, oh, at night it was just kind of like, well, let's rent a movie. And so they rented that one, and my niece, who's now 17, couldn't watch it. She was too embarrassed to watch it with her parents.
Still not Bo's Afraid watching that sex scene with your dad. Poor Josh.
We love you, Josh.
13 going on 30, The Blair Witch Project.
13 going on 30. It's such a wonderful film. I love Blair Witch, but like, if I'm going to pick one between them and watch one, I'm going to watch 13 going on 30. That movie is just pure joy.
That you pick, Jeff.
Same here.
I'll go Blair Witch, but that's okay. I like 13 going on 30. High Noon.
I like
Go ahead.
Blair Witch, but we've talked about that last week. I like Blair Witch, but I don't know if I could watch it again.
High Noon, The In-Laws.
High Noon. The In-Laws is a fucking miserable movie.
I've never seen it, but
I haven't either. Dr. Zhivago, Kill Bill Part 2.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
Heathers, The Hunger Games, The Mockingjay Part 2.
Heathers.
I'm kind of torn because I really think Hunger Games is much better. I think that movie's going to age well. I think.
Oh, definitely. But Heathers is a wonderful movie.
Heathers, I think I'd probably watch Heathers first, but I think there's a much better. There's something going on with Hunger Games I don't think we've gotten to the bottom of quite yet.
Well, Hunger Games is a really good saga.
Yeah,
it all holds together really well. Aside from Philip Seymour Hoffman dying before they'd finished the final one, the cast is all there. They don't recast in the middle. It's a solid saga, and I really like. I like the books too. So,
Bonnie and Clyde, Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Yeah, Valkyrie. I watched Bonnie and Clyde not too long ago because everybody, I'd never seen it, and it was like on that 1001 movies you must see before you die, and I'm like, oh, I think this could have been the last one before I died that I didn't have to see.
It was definitely a disappointment. I hate Valkyrie too, though, but
yeah,
Bonnie
I hate
and Clyde,
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde is not good.
Yeah, I agree.
U571, Down with Love.
Down with Love is one of the most underrated movies of all time. I love that fucking movie. It's so good. I wish people would see it. It's just one of the best, funniest pastiches of 1950s romance ever. You don't see movies quite like this. Ewan McGregor is incredible in it, as is Renee Zellweger. But what Ewan McGregor does in evoking Rock Hudson in those movies it's so phenomenal. He's fantastic.
He's so charming.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 2009, The Polar Express.
girl with a dragon tattoo. Please never make.
Minder Hader Kivinder.
I never want to see Polar Express ever again. It lives in my nightmares.
8mm Last of the Mohicans.
8mm.
Definitely.
I don't like homework.
Thor: Love and Thunder, Candyman, 92.
Candyman.
Or Love and Thunder is just such a disappointment. That's probably
It's
another
fine.
reason why that and this movie right here, Doctor Strange, are like the reasons why I just don't care about Marvel anymore.
Yeah, I thought Thor was horrible, and I love Guns N' Roses. Return of the Jedi, Doctor Strange, and the Multiverse of Madness.
Return of the Jedi by a lot.
El Retorno del Jedi.
Okay.
Somebody check Jeff's settings. He's in Spanish. Can you check his mic?
Pero chica Mimi, que dice, estoy yo, y como habla, y habla así contigo. Okay, I'm back.
Stepford Wives or Men Who Stare at Goats.
They're both terrible.
Yeah. Fishing with Gandhi.
And there it is.
Stepford Wives is I think maybe slightly less of a disaster, so go with that one.
I just get that confused with Bewitched.
Yeah,
that she was in.
Schindler's List once.
Schindler's List, I like it. I liked the experience of seeing it in the theater and watching everybody cry while I was giggling. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Once.
Were you just repeating a Seinfeld plot?
No, I've never seen Seinfeld, so I couldn't.
That was an actual Seinfeld plot.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen Seinfeld, so I didn't know that.
All right. Shadow of the Vampire, Multiplicity.
Shadow of the Vampire.
I can only take maybe 2 of Michael Keaton.
Fever Pitch, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom, although I do like Fever Pitch.
Yeah, Temple of Doom.
I just don't like Last Crusade.
No Time for Love, Dr. Jones.
The Hunger Games, You Mean Dupree.
Hunger Games.
We could do that as a classic when the new one comes out this fall.
Have we been doing this long enough, Bob, that we actually had the original Hunger Games on? I know.
Yeah, we did it on the show when it came out.
That's funny.
So there's a new one coming out?
Yeah, the Ballad of Songbird and Snakes.
Is it a prequel? I think
it's a prequel that it takes place, several years before. And President Snow, Donald Sutherland's character, he is one of the one of their advocates or whatever they're called, and he kind of changes the game and falls in love with somebody who's in the games. Apparently, I got the book for $1 at a garage sale, so I've got to read that first. And then...
Is Philip Seymour Hoffman's character in the sequel or the prequel?
Yeah.
Okay, Capote or The Devil Inside?
Capote by a lot.
Outbreak, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier.
The only good Dustin Hoffman movie, Outbreak.
Outbreak. We love a plague movie.
The Forgotten, The Machinist.
The Machinist.
Yeah. Even though it's hard to watch.
So bad. It's so bad.
Men in Black 2, 3 Men and a Little Baby, or a Little Lady.
Men in Black 2, I think, is slightly less miserable.
You
pick, Bob, because I don't give a fuck about these movies.
Neither do I. Jingle All the Way, Signs. The Batman, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
The Batman.
Yeah, because that's not... That's a completely different Snow White, but the Batman.
Have we seen the Snow White, or should we have switched it? Anyway, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon.
Yeah, although that became kind of the point where I started to really dislike Jim Carrey because he was always doing some shtick.
I'll go 3 Billboards just to be different. The Natural, Cello?
I've never seen Cello.
No, I haven't seen Cello.
Cool poster, though.
The Natural, The Italian Job.
The Natural? No, wait, The Italian Job? I don't know. Neither
Job.
one of them was very good.
The Natural is one of the
I just
most overrated movies ever.
I just don't like The Natural. I tried watching it twice.
It's terrible. Italian Job it is. All right. Last one, Eastern Promises RoboCop 3.
Eastern Promises.
Eastern Promises.
I'll love to see Eastern Promises get up high. That's good. It belongs up there. It's a classic.
Where do we have it at?
30.
30.
Oh, nice.
Might be a little high, but it's up where it's up in the top 100. I think is a fair score.
Well, Return of the Jedi should be higher than Eastern Promises. I'm sorry.
Is Eternal Sunshine too high on our list? Jeff, at number 11. All right.
I like it.
All right. That's our show. We'll talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
See ya.